My name is Mick, and this is Movies TV Mad. When I first started this channel and these daily shows, I called myself Big Mouth. At the beginning of this journey, I believed in the viability of the dceu. Then when I saw Justice League, I couldn't believe that a proud studio like Warner Brothers Pictures put out such a piece of shit. I couldn't believe it. I was heartbroken. But then I had the privilege and honor of watching a test screening of Aquaman, and I thought, wow, this is a sensational comic book movie. Yes, let's start from here. Then we had Shazam. All right, the box office wasn't huge. It made a profit. It was good for families and kids. Let's go. Then outside of the dceu, we got the Joker movie by Todd Phillips starring Joaquin Phoenix, one of the best actors of our generation. I thought, wow, this is The Dark Knight again. This is amazing. People are loving this film. Then we went from that to Birds of Prey, a feminist comic book movie telling us to stop taking credit for women's work. Then we went to Wonder Woman 84, and we were back to the same place again. You see, if we go back to the beginning of the dceu, I used to fight and defend the Snyderverse from Man of Steel to BVS because we didn't have the Snyder Cut back then. Because at least Snyder gave DC an identity. At least he had a vision. Now, personally, if I was running things, Snyder would never have been brought in to run a mainstream extended DC extended universe. He would never be the right person to do this. He wasn't the right person to do this, even though I still love and will defend his DC movies. Let's not forget how the dceu started, from a writer having writer's block and coming up with an alien invasion movie. Yes, David S. Goyer came up with the concept of Man of Steel via having writer's block while doing The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not going to sit here and go kind of turn around on my opinion on Man of Steel. Man of Steel and BVS are great movies. They are artistic triumphs, but they have no place in a central DC universe. They should never ever have given the responsibility to Christopher Nolan to set up this franchise. So today, where are we today? Well, they're making the same mistakes all over again. We have Discovery taking Warner Brothers over from Friday. We were hopeful that maybe they'd come on their white horses and save our beloved DC live action universe and make some good decisions. Apparently they have decided to keep one of the worst executives in motion picture company history, Toby at the company. And that's not enough. We now hear from Rolling Stone magazine, via an article which I'll be reading in its entirety very shortly, that WB Pictures last week, as soon as he was arrested, had emergency meetings about Ezra Miller's future. And I think it's pretty obvious now to know this is why the Flash movie was delayed. Now, in this article, you're going to hear me read out many, many things that you don't know. I believe this article, I believe this journalist, and I believe that Zaslav and Discovery are behind the release of this article. Also, for the past week or so, we've had many, many leaks from the Flash movie. This is despicable, of course. Why are they leaking this movie? Well, I've come to another theory. WB Pictures didn't leak the spoilers for the Flash movie. No, Ezra Miller and his people did. Knowing that he was about to be jettisoned by WB Pictures, they decided to come up with a situation where they release positive vibes about the Flash movie and Ezra's performance. This was a clever way to try and keep him within the franchise. But clearly, from this article being released, That isn't the case. So let's read this article. Ezra Miller arrest prompts emergency Warner Brothers meeting about star's future. Exclusive. An insider says Miller had frequent meltdowns during production last year on The Flash and described the actor as losing it. Will Smith isn't the only Hollywood star facing career backlash in the wake of public outburst. On March the 30th, Warner Brothers and DC executives held an emergency impromptu meeting to discuss Ezra Miller's future with the studio following the Flash star's recent arrest for disorderly conduct and harassment. According to the knowledgeable source, the consensus in the room was to hit pause on any future project involving Miller, including possible appearances in the DC Extended Universe. The studio has more than a year before it has to make any hard decisions about a potential sequel to The Flash. So let's just say this is true, and I think it is, right? They're saying in this article they have over a year where they have to make decisions on a Flash sequel starring Ezra Miller. Well, think about this. If they sack him, they'll officially have to come out, right? So in that case, are they telling me that they're going to release a movie with an actor they've just fired? Don't forget, they replaced Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts. Surely this is the reason they delayed the movie in the first place. Warner Brothers also has avoided making any key decisions on tentpoles ahead of Discovery taking control of Warner Media in the $43 billion mega merger. I've been saying that for weeks, that they're not going to greenlight anything, including the Batman sequel, until Discovery take over. Again, I was right. Warner Media chief Ann Sarnoff announced on Tuesday that she's exiting the company as AT&T spins off its entertainment division to Discovery. Last month, Warner Brothers moved the Andrew Muschietti-helmed first installment of The Flash, a production fraught with drama from November the 4th, 2022 to June the 23rd, 2023. It's clear now that the production of the Flash movie has been an absolute clusterfuck, a catastrophe, and this is why it's been delayed, and this is why you've heard nothing from Andy Muschietti, right? This is something else I spotted from the beginning, that Muschietti hasn't said anything about these delays. That was me, nobody else. One insider says Miller had frequent meltdowns during production last year on The Flash. While the insider stresses there was no yelling or violent outbursts, they described Miller as losing it. Ezra would get a fault in their head and say, "I don't know what I'm doing," the insider tells Rolling Stone. According to the March the 28th police report, Miller became agitated after patrons at a Hawaii bar began singing karaoke. Miller shouted obscenities and grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman as she was singing and allegedly lunged at the 32-year-old man playing darts. The 29-year-old movie star was arrested and charged on both counts and was released on a $500 bail. The incident took place at Margarita Village in Hilo, Hawaii. The day before Miller's Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, castmates were celebrating that film's world premiere in London. Even more troubling, a local couple filed a temporary restraining order against Miller on March the 29th. The couple claimed that after Miller's arrest, Miller burst into their bedroom and threatened them, with Miller saying to the man, "I will bury you and your slut wife," according to the report. The petition also alleges that Miller stole the woman's passport and the man's wallet, which included a social security card, driver's license, and bank cards. A judge granted a TRO following the following day. The judge is expected to make a decision on whether or not to extend the restraining order by the end of the month. The Hawaii incidents are the latest in a series of troubling events involving Miller. In April 2020, footage of the actor apparently choking a woman at an Iceland bar circulated on social media. The Justice League star was kicked out of the Preco-Caiaphas bar, but no arrests were made. Miller has never commented on the incident. Sources say the Iceland footage gave Warner Brothers pause at the time, but Miller was not kicked off Secrets of Dumbledore like castmate Johnny Depp, who lost his libel case against a British tabloid which had referred to the actor as a wife-beater. In January, Miller posted a since-deleted video on Instagram threatening a North Carolina chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. The actor told members of the chapter to kill themselves with their own guns, otherwise we'll do it for you if that's what you want. Miller shot Fantastic Beasts and The Flash back-to-back for the studio in London in fall 2020 and spring 2021. Respectively, given the positive buzz on early footage of The Flash, the film was expected to catapult Miller into a rarefied group of actors who can carry a major box office hit. Of course, these positive leaks were clearly from Ezra Miller's people. This is clear to me now. Don't doubt me, because everything I've said in the past few weeks has come to pass. But a lot of you fanboys and girls are so blinded sometimes you don't want to believe anything. It was VFX because of the Flash movie delays, wasn't it? You'll believe anything. But the Hawaii incidents are expected to cause PR headaches for the star and Warner Brothers. In the TRO petition, the couple noted that Miller is famous and wealthy. This makes access to weapons much easier, as well as sending associates to harass the petitioner. Very interesting. Miller is known to have a fascination with weapons. During a 2018 cover interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Miller offered to show this reporter the crossbow from the film We Need to Talk About Kevin, in which the teen actor portrayed a high school killer. You want to see the real bow and arrow from Kevin, man? Because I got it right back there. I really do. Miller said at the actor's Vermont farm. People usually don't want to see it. When I ask them, they usually say, no, I prefer not to see that bow and arrow. And I say, okay, it's up to you. During the interview, Miller also defended gun rights. People need to protect themselves, the actor said. In fact, Miller, who identifies as non-binary and uses they, them pronouns, said they don't have a problem with people owning semi-automatic weapons. Nope, that passage initially appeared in a sidebar story on the actor, but was pulled at the behest of the actor's publicist following a mass shooting at a Pittsburgh synagogue. Miller first burst onto the scene as a teenager in Antonio Campbell's 2008 drama After School, which centered on an internet-addicted prep school student who captures the drug overdose of two girls on a video. The actor quickly landed at the top of the wish list among the major studios and was paid low seven figures each for both Fantastic Beasts and The Flash standalone. But Miller's behavior has become increasingly erratic in recent years, putting their career in expensive tempos that require lengthy publicity tours in jeopardy. So Warner Brothers are pretty much concerned because they can't trust this guy to sit there and talk to journalists about his movies. That's how bad this situation is. And so, a source says Miller was never expected to attend the Fantastic Beasts premiere because their publicity plans for the film were limited given the way they was saving contractual promotion commitments for The Flash. Fantastic Beasts hits theaters in the US on April the 15th. Rolling Stone reached out to Margarita Village, Prokofiev, and the couple who were granted the restraining order but did not receive a response. Reps for Miller and Warner Brothers declined to comment. Of course they did. As for Smith, who also is a part of the DC Extended Universe as supervillain Deadshot, Warner Brothers and DC had been developing a Smith-led standalone film for Deadshot. Now this is new. I was saying yesterday, I was quote tweeting this stuff saying that was never the plan. But clearly, they know different. They were developing a Deadshot movie. How awesome. But as usual with the DC Extended Universe, first there's the good news, then there's the bad news. But had put it on the back burner long before his Oscars assault of Chris Rock. Smith, whose price tag was $20 million for Warner Brothers, King Richard priced himself out well before his controversy. Despite Smith's apology to Rock, studios are re-evaluating the actor's involvement in various projects around Hollywood. Wow, That is a really great exclusive from Rolling Stone. If you've never heard of Rolling Stone, what have you been, under a rock or something? They're a really great source. This is true, and clearly this is a response from Warner Brothers. Yes, they never make official responses, but they try and put out fires. So clearly, as I say, what happened last week with the Flash movie leaks, this has come from Ezra Miller's people trying to keep him in a job via a positive vibe. Now, Warner Brothers or Discovery, and I think this is Discovery, because Warner Brothers don't use Rolling Stone, they use THR, they use Variety. So this has got Discovery's handprints all over this. This is a response. They've outed him because he leaked the entire test screening. That's why. I'm looking at this from someone who spent 6 months in Hollywood. This is how this business works. It's full of powerful, brutal, ruthless people, and one side is trying to take down the other. And now Miller has been taken down a peg or two. Where does this leave Fantastic Beasts? Well, the film was already going to flop anyway, right? Because of J.K. Rowling and because of the mess she made as well with the second movie. But where does the DCEU go from here? We have an impending takeover. The sacking of Ann Sarnoff, right? Yesterday we found out they were keeping Toby Emmerich. That's what we think. Anyway, things can change in this game very, very quickly. Let me say something to the people who are saying, no, Toby Emmerich, they're just running his contract down. If that was the case, it would be announced like that. But it's not. So to me now, Discovery and David Zaslav, and I've been very positive about them, are just a bunch of chancers, likely lads who want to grab Warner Brothers, make a quick buck out of it, and sell it again, just like AT&T and John Stankey did. They don't care about DC. They're going to bleed it dry. For the past 5 years, we've had two different people having their hands on WB. Disney is owned by Disney. So, in the meantime, mine and your beloved DC live action is left in tatters. Where do we go from here, people? I mean, I was excited as you about these leaks. I fell for it because I'm a fan myself. I want to believe in the best. What do we do with the DCEU now? Oh, by the way, Grant Gustin is trending to replace Ezra Miller as the Flash. Would I do that? Yes, but not now. After I delete and bin the DC Extended Universe, something that should have happened after Justice League, everyone. The DCEU is not a viable franchise. It cannot be fixed. It needs to be binned. Bin the fucking lot of it. Forget about it. Forget it. Forget everything. While Toby Emmerich, and I told you this yesterday, while Toby Emmerich is the chairman of WB Pictures, the Snyderverse will never be restored. So bin it all. Bin it all. Bin the Snyderverse. Bin the DC Extended Universe and just start again. And yes, start again because actually, let's go back to the beginning of Arrow. Do you know what year the Arrow TV show started on the CW? 2012. So whatever you say about the CW's Arrowverse, it's a viable shared universe, right? With shared strands, cameos, Easter eggs, and it's worked for the very audience that the MCU has worked for, whether you like it or not. A year later, in 2013, we started the DCEU with Man of Steel. An out of context failure of an extended universe. So just imagine if DC and WB actually got Greg Berlanti to make the Arrow series into a movie and a string of movies, and then we had the Flash movie with Grant Gustin. Think about this. And a Legends of Tomorrow movie. So instead of it being a TV series on the CW, Arrowverse would have been the franchise launched in 2012. We would have had Tyler Hoechlin as our Superman and Lois movies, right, instead of a series. That is what you do with a mainstream connective universe. But no, that went onto television and is now petering out while we have got this broken DC Extended Universe franchise. Just imagine if the Arrowverse was the movie franchise. Wow, we would be winning right now. As I say, I have been one of the staunchest defenders of the DCEU, especially the Snyderverse portion of it, which is definitely the best thing about it. Simple as that. It has a vision. It's epic. It feels good. And you know, yesterday I was watching a video explaining the Justice League 2 and 3 storyboards. And really, for the first time, I hadn't known these details before. I looked into it, and it really is amazing, outstanding. Of course, being Zack Snyder, he decided in Justice League 2 and 3 or whatever, he was going to set up a relationship between Bruce Wayne and Lois Lane. This would have got him in trouble with DC fans again, and this is the problem with Snyder. Now, if we get JL 2 and 3, and we won't at this point, right? Not with Emmerich still there will be no Lois and Bruce Wayne anymore, because that's the thing in the Snyder Cut, you can tell, because Bruce Wayne congratulates Clark, basically for Lois being pregnant. Now, in the storyboards, when he finds out Lois is pregnant, he loses his shit because he thinks and he knows the child's his. So his child was going to end up being Batman like 15 years later after Justice League 3, which is a good movie strand, but I'm sorry, Zach, no one, and apart from your blindest fans would have accepted that story. So that's the problem with Snyder. That's why he's a bit controversial. That's why he should never have been involved in running a mainstream DC universe. So while the Marvel Cinematic Universe thrives, while the Sega Cinematic Universe is expanded and they make money after money and they please children and families, the DC live action universe is on the floor and it's not viable, people. All I want is a great live action franchise and individual films on their own to be proud of. The Batman is something to be proud of. The Joker movie is something to be proud of. The Aquaman movie is something to be proud of, as is the Wonder Woman movie. All these movies are great for mainstream audiences, right? As much as I like Man of Steel and BVS and the Snyder Cut, they're not really for mainstream family audiences. Let's get that clear here. There's only one way out of this now for Warner Brothers. What are they going to do with Ezra Miller? Are they going to put him on the naughty step for a little while, then bring him back? That's not going to work. If they fire him, as I said on the top of the show, how can they release the Flash movie? Because the reason they've delayed the Flash movie is because the production is a clusterfuck. And I think that these test screenings were put out there a long time ago and not recently, and Miller leaked this stuff about the movie and people's reactions at the time. And if they indeed have, as I feel, delayed the Flash movie because of Ezra Miller's conduct and the production being a clusterfuck, clearly that means that they are considering never showing this movie. And as I said at the time, and I was right, that date in June isn't actually a proper release date. They just moved it as far away as possible so it's not a problem. But the Flash is connected to Aquaman, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Black Adam. What do they do with the rest of these movies? These are decisions that are going to have to be made. Are they still planning on continuing the DC Extended Universe? What do they do with Ezra Miller? Do they replace him? Do they go back and reshoot the Flash movie with another actor? Listen, let's go on to Grant Gustin. Grant Gustin should have been given this role from the very beginning, right? When they decided to do a DC Extended Universe, it should have been the continuation of the Arrowverse television franchise. And Grant Gustin should have been the Flash. Everything should have been connected. No, they brought an auteur in, Christopher Nolan, to Godfather things, and brought in another auteur, a controversial auteur like Zack Snyder. Mistake after mistake after mistake. And everyone, this is where we are here now. You are watching this video because you love DC as much as I do. And we're sitting here And I've suggested that the Arrowverse should have been a thing in the movie universe, right? But even if they didn't do that, they could have expanded Arrowverse in 2013. Films-wise, because Arrowverse was already pulling it up. The Arrow show had 2 amazing seasons, and all they had to do was expand it. But they didn't. And this is where we are now. This is Warner Brothers, under Toby Emmerich, who wanted to cut No Man's Land out of Wonder Woman, who didn't understand the Flash running scene at the end of the Snyder Cut, who didn't want the Themyscira sequence in Wonder Woman 84, one of the only viable moments from the whole fucking movie. This is who Discovery are keeping at Warner Brothers Pictures. Am I supposed to thank you for that? Now, apparently, now this is interesting as well, because as all of this broke, there was somewhere something written about David Zaslav. Apparently is a very hands-on CEO. Now, this is interesting because this will cause problems between Toby Emmerich and David Zaslav, because Emmerich will not like a hands-on CEO. So, are you keeping someone that you're going to have to police, David? It doesn't make sense, does it? What an utter mess. So, apparently, Zaslav wants to bring someone to replace Ann Sarnoff, and apparently he's thinking of Scott Stuber, the CEO over at Netflix, who's done a super job and is a friend of Zack Snyder's. Now, if this is to happen, because Ann Sarnoff, Sarnoff's position was superior to Toby Emmerich, so he's a little cog basically in a big wheel, which means him remaining isn't the end of the world. But I still don't understand why you would keep him. But anyway, if Scott Stuber was to replace Ann Sarnoff, this would be absolutely huge. And then, yes, my friends, we would absolutely have a chance of restoring the Snyderverse. But we don't know what's going to happen. Because they're going to have to announce Ann Sarnoff's replacement very quickly. The only way I'll change my mind back about this whole Discovery situation and Emmerich situation if someone like Stuber does replace Ann Sarnoff, and we do get a DC Studios. But that doesn't answer the question, everyone, about the Flash being moved to June. This doesn't answer the question what we do with Ezra Miller now as the Flash, and the Flash movie, and the future of the DCEU. These are the questions that will be posed to Discovery coming in. Now, I've said days ago that I feel sorry for them, but I know exactly what I would be doing if I was coming in. I would literally get my fucking axe, right? And I would cut to pieces the DCEU and start again. And a lot of you don't agree with me, and that's okay. This is a platform where we can agree to disagree, and that's okay. So, my motivation was low last night, and I apologise the way I conducted myself on my live last night, because DC means something to me. And I don't think it's that effing difficult to create an awesome DC live action universe. Not that just one fandom can enjoy, but all types of fandoms can enjoy. Just like the freaking MCU. They got there before us and they shouldn't have done. But it doesn't matter. That's done now. We have to fix this problem. We need a DC Studios, David Zaslav, and we need it now. And the only answer to the Ezra Miller problem is to bring down the DCEU for good and just start again. So I will be watching with bated breath later on today to see some exciting announcements coming from Warner Brothers Discovery, which will be a proper company tomorrow. So yesterday and last night after my live, I felt really heartbroken. As I was posting on Twitter, I just felt, I don't care about DC anymore. I'm done. But you know what? I am not done. I'll never be done with DC. Because this is the moment, everyone, that big decisions have to be made. And Jesus Christ, if Scott Stuber does come in to take Sarnoff's position, then my motivation is sky high again. And exciting things can happen. I want to thank those of you who said, chin up, Mick, you're a passionate person, you're positive. And I feel positive again. But I had to vent about this. Ezra Miller is done. He's done. Simple as that. Clearly, the young man was affected by doing fantastic beasts in the flash back to back. Now, that would be difficult for anyone. And clearly, he has some kind of mental health problems. That's clear from some of the stuff we heard in the article. I'm not someone who wants to stamp on somebody's grave. It's like Will Smith. He did a dumb fucking thing. He slapped someone, you know, on live television. But I don't want him to be destroyed. I don't want him to be destroyed. I think a Deathstroke movie would have been awesome. So I don't know why they're not doing that anymore. I think he wanted too much money. And I think maybe some of the stuff about Cavill and the money may be true. I've been denying that, but who knows? But anyway, the best thing now is Scott Stuber comes in and restores the Snyderverse. Fair enough. And that'll be fun. In a corner somewhere. But I still think this central DCEU should be brought down. So if Scott Stuber comes in and restores the Snyderverse in a little corner somewhere and they can do their own thing, fine. Because you can't put out a movie called The Flash starring an actor who collects weapons, who threatens people, who has restraining orders about him. That movie, they have two choices here. They need to reshoot that movie with another actor, right? That's all they can do. I mean, they replaced Henry Allen, which is a smaller cog in a bigger wheel. I agree, but Ezra Miller can't continue. He can't. They're having discussions about him. I thought it was weird that nothing was said in the past week. But don't forget, these meetings started immediately after he was arrested, and Rolling Stone only released it yesterday. So this is before we go, and before we finish off this video, I've kept you for over half an hour. I apologize about that, but this was an important video for me. As you know, I didn't do my normal positive intro because I wasn't feeling very positive at the start of this video. So basically, this is what happened in my opinion. Ezra Miller was arrested for a crime and bailed. Serious crimes against innocent people. He then realized, after a full and disastrous production on The Flash, that he was going to lose his job. I believe, and this is just me alleging, I believe that he and his people decided to leak information about the Flash movie and its positive test screenings to try and save himself, to give Warner Brothers no choice but to keep him in the job. In response, Warner Brothers and Discovery decided to leak the whole situation with Miller and him getting arrested and the meetings at WB about said situation to a Rolling Stone journalist, and he's been outed. I believe this is actually what's happened. You don't mess around with these studios. He's costing these studios money. This studio money. But I will say again, this is a disclaimer that I believe that Ezra Miller needs a lot of help. I hope the studio gives him the help he needs, but there's no way he can continue in this role as of now. So, two options, as I said. Reshoot the Flash movie, which the stuff I'm hearing about it is awesome. Recast Ezra Miller. Now, you can do this a lot of ways. You can find a contrived multiversal reason why Grant Gustin is now the Flash and not Ezra Miller. Or you can burn the entire DCEU down and start again, which is something that I would have done after Justice League. So what do you think of the DCEU as it stands? Please let me know your thoughts. I love DC and I want us to have the best live action universe. And I hope that Zaslav and Discovery make the right decisions to do this. This has been the DCEU Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again later. Until we see each other again. Goodbye. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.